Good evening, everyone, and welcome to beautiful Orvis Auditorium here on the University of Hawaii at Manoa campus. We're proud to bring you another SCEP Live Online's concert series. My name is Tim Slaughter, and I'll be your host for the evening. SCEP Live Online is a production of University of Hawaii Presents, based at the University of Hawaii at Manoa Outreach College. I'd like to take a moment and thank our partners and sponsors, the university's music department, the East-West Center Arts Program, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the University of Hawaii, Kanoa Senior Services, Friends of Manoa Library, and you, our audience. We have been offering programs live and online since April of 2020, featuring artists from around Hawaii as well as from the mainland and international locations. These artists have shared their talents and cultures with our audiences from the safety of their homes. In an effort to continue to support the work of local musicians, we have created a series of concerts, and with the support of the university's music department and East-West Center Arts Program, we're here at Orvis Auditorium featuring some of the best talent in Hawaii today. We're extremely excited about the series and hope you will tune in for future concerts as well. We also recommend, if possible, to get the full experience for tonight's concert to listen through headphones. Joining me as co-host this evening is Professor Ricardo Tremillos. Rick, now retired, was Professor of Ethnomusicology for the Music Department and Chair of Asian Studies at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. His area of expertise is the expressive arts in their social environment and consulting with governments in the area of arts and public policy. We're so happy that you could join us tonight, Rick.
Thank you, Tim. Aloha ahi. Good evening. I'm very pleased to present this group, introduce this group this evening, Across the Sea. And you'll see how the name is really apt because the members come from across the sea. I'd like to introduce the members to you, beginning with the one who has come the furthest across the sea, Tsun-Hui Hung, who plays erhu, which is the two-string Chinese fiddle. And she comes from Taiwan, which is the westernmost part of Australasia. Our second performer is Greg Sardinha, old friend and part of the old-style Renaissance from the 70s, who will be playing steel guitar, but he plays many other instruments in the Hawaiian string band. And finally, the third member of the group, also from another island, that is Maui, is Jeff Peterson, who is playing slack key guitar, but also is an ukulele performer. So you see we have a group that is highly, highly versatile and will be presenting many kinds of music, Hawaii-based, but with an international taste. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce and to ask the group Across the Sea to present their program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. Aloha, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And we're so grateful for Rick Tremillos being here, sharing his mana'o and his aloha. And also, we want to send a huge mahalo out to the Outreach College here at UH. I was a student here at this university. I know the stage very well from those days. And I was also a teacher. I ran the guitar program for 7 years. And I remember having this stage here at Orvis Auditorium full of a guitar orchestra. Every last corner of the stage, we'd sneak someone on stage. So it feels so great to be back here. I feel like I'm home. And I'm so happy to be able to share the stage with some very dear friends. We have an album called Across the Sea. And so Tsun-Hui and Greg, we first met in Greg's backyard in Olamana. And it's a great place for kanikapila, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to play music together, bringing culture together with Hawaiian sounds, with the steel guitar, which began right here in Hawaii, and then hō'alu guitar, which began on Hawaii Islands with the Paniolo culture going back to the 1830s. And what's some of the heritage for listeners who haven't heard the erhu before? What's the heritage of the instrument you play?
This instrument is called erhu. So in Chinese means two, and hu actually literally means uncultured in Chinese. So this instrument was a folk instrument for a long time, but nowadays it has been really popular in Chinese countries like China or Taiwan, where I'm from. So I'm really happy to bring this culture to Hawaii and continue that this instrument travel around the world and share with everyone today.
Beautiful. So we'll start with a piece from our album, and this is a piece from the Hawaiian Renaissance written by Peter Moon, He Hawaii Ao. All right, that was the song He Hawaii Ao from our CD, Across the Sea. Great fun, and so much fun to be on stage with the two of you. Mahalo for being here.
Been a while.
Yeah. Next, we're going to play a piece that is called Pu'alilelehua, and it has a connection to the sagebrush, the lilelehua that grows in Palolo Valley, the back of the valley, and the wind that comes down towards Waikiki. A piece written by Kahawaunu Lake and lovely hula mele. All right, a piece called Vaika, or Pulilele Hua. And next we're going to do a piece called Vaika that is another one from the album. And one of my favorites of the repertoire that we play, it's just the one thing about the erhu that you notice, it's like a voice. The way that you can carry pitches from one to the next, it's like a singer. And it's the lyricism of that sound is perfect for this next piece.
So this instrument has 2 strings, like I say, and it has no fret and no fingerboard. So it allows me to slide anywhere I want.
Yeah.
I guess that's why it sounds like a voice.
Yeah, and it's a great thing that the bow is actually sits inside, in between the 2 strings. So if you press out, you get one note, and in, you get the other, right? And they're so close together. The 2 strings are incredibly close together.
Right. So the bow is always in between 2 strings. And so I cannot take it out. And so when I play, it's always one over the other strings. I don't usually, very not likely, but usually I just only play 1 string at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So this is a piece titled Vaika. You don't have to change the strings, but with the ki hō'alu, I'm constantly tuning and changing keys as we play.
I know, and you have six strings,
Right.
And I have only 2 strings. That's one thing. When I first played with Jeff, at that time I didn't know what slacky guitar is, so I was wondering why does he keep tuning? And I was thinking, why can't you bring a better instrument? Why do you keep tuning?
That's great. Yeah, there's so many. We have about maybe 30 or 40 tunings that are used here in Hawaii. Maybe 10 that are used all the time, and then some really interesting variations of those. Same thing with steel guitar. Like Greg plays in many different tunings, and he has a 6-string steel, but some have more. They're 8-string, yeah?
Yeah, lately the standard, 6 and 8 string actually.
Yeah.
And everybody's been gravitating a lot more. As you get used to playing, then you want a little bit more bottom or a little bit more ammunition. So you go to the 8. Yeah.
2 is enough for me.
So nice. So how is everyone doing out there? Thanks so much for joining us here. We're at the University of Hawaii, and we're having so much fun playing music together. We're the Across the Sea Trio. We have a CD together that I mentioned, and you can find the CD on all of our websites, actually. What's your website, Greg?
Keala Records.
Keala Records. And CD was released on that. And your website?
I have a YouTube channel, which started with my nickname, Onion.
Onion.
Onion, Tsun-Hui Hung.
How did you get the name?
It's how my Chinese name sounds like in Chinese. So my Chinese name is Hong Tsun-Hui, so it sounds like Hong Tong-To, and Hong Tong-To is onion.
That's great.
So people has been calling me onion since I was little, and I miss that, especially after my grandpa passed away. So no one call me onion anymore. I was like, I'm going to put that official.
Nice.
When we first met you, it wasn't Onion. So when you finally told us it was Onion, it seemed like very different for us.
A sweet onion. Very sweet.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sweet one.
Good recovery. Thank you.
But if you go to her YouTube channel, you can find more out about the erhu and see collaborations that she's done, and some beautiful videos as well, and even some tutorials, right, to learn how to play erhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy.
Lots of practice. I have a guitar website for learning hō'alu. It's jeffpetersonguitar.com. And actually, pretty excited to announce I have a brand new CD. It's called the Mele Nahe Nahe. And every Wednesday from my living room, I do a streaming concert on a website called Stage It. And I had a 1-year anniversary last Wednesday, 52 concerts, consecutive Wednesdays, and a different program each week. So it's been a big challenge for me, an inspiration to write music and come up with different programs. So I'm having a CD release party, and I actually printed CDs, which is maybe the last time I'll do this, but if any of you still have a CD player, a lot of people tell me, well, my car has a CD player, but not one in the house. But send us, if you're putting some comments into the chat, let us know. Do you still have a CD player? Are you still listening to that? Where do you listen to your music these days, other than just online?
Really, are you still buying CDs?
Yeah. But if you go to my website, jeffpetersonguitar.com, you can find more information about the new CD. Go to the album section, and it's listed there. Next, we're going to play another traditional Hawaiian piece, but this one has almost a little bit of a Latin American feel, and it's a piece written by Helen Deshay Beamer, and she wrote some beautiful pieces after she had experiences getting together with friends and family, and she'd write like a mahalo out for a beautiful afternoon. She'd write an incredible mele. She wrote a piece called Kimo Henderson Hula to thank Kimo Henderson for a lovely afternoon at his home, Mauka, up above Hilo. And this song takes us to the other side of the island by the Waikoloa area. There's this beautiful oasis, Kiawaiki, and that's what this song is inspired by. right, a piece from Hawaii Island by Helen Deshay Beamer. And next we're going to play a very, very special song. And maybe Tsun-Hui, you can tell us a little bit about this. It's a Chinese folk song. It's called Molihua. And I wrote, thinking of the Molihua being the jasmine flower. And hua is like pua, like we say here in Hawaii for flower in Chinese. And that flower was brought here and was named by Princess Kaiulani, the pikake flower, because the white jasmine flower reminded of her white peacocks in her beautiful home in Waikiki. And so coming from China here to Hawaii, it inspired one of my favorite flowers, the most fragrant flower, and beautiful for a lei. It takes about 2,000 of those little guys to make one lei, right? But what's your, how were you introduced to this song? Did you hear it as a child?
Yeah, this is a really, really popular song in China, I believe, and also, of course, in Taiwan as well. So, yeah, so this song is almost sung everywhere in the world, and you probably remember this song was also sung during the Beijing Olympic. The little girl sing that song. Yeah. And so, yeah, we kind of mash up this song with Jeff's composition, the original. So Jeff made this. You want to talk about your part?
Yeah, so my part is paying homage to that, the journey of that flower here to Hawaii and how it became the pikake flower. And so you'll hear us going back and forth playing more Hawaiian-style melody and then the Chinese-style melody. And I actually remember performing this. I've been to China and I've performed in Shanghai at the Oriental Arts Center there, and with Jasmine Chen, this wonderful vocalist. If you ever saw the movie Crazy Rich Asians, and there's a big band singing, and there's this really beautiful singer in that film, that's Jasmine Chen. And I got to collaborate with her and do a tour in China, and I did some solo concerts as well. And everywhere that I performed this piece, people would sing. It filled the entire auditorium with people singing. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's so nice that we can collaborate this song together, you know. And yeah, so we made this album Across the Sea, but it's not just across the sea, but we actually connect the people and the music. Recently, there are a lot conflict in the state between the races and between the genders. But as an Asian woman, I really feel lucky that I work with actually everyone tonight here is men. Amen. Am I right? And I'm really lucky that I'm supported by Jeff and Greg, and so I'm sure the conflict will go away and will end soon. But our music and our love, aloha, will last. Yeah.
All right, a piece celebrating this beautiful connection and heritage of the Chinese culture here in Hawaii. And there's a wonderful history here. When I was doing that tour in China, the first time I went was in 2009. And believe it or not, I have an interesting family story there. My grandfather on my mother's side of the family, he was born and raised in Shanghai. And he was there because his ohana went there many years before, generations before, and they helped to found the first University of Western Medicine in China in 1885. It was called St. John's University, and also a hospital there. And they traveled all over taking medicine from the West to villages, and they helped many people there. They were there for about 4 generations. He was the last generation there. And then he got the medical the inspiration from his grandparents, his parents, and so he went to Harvard. He studied medical at the medical school there. Then he settled here on Oahu, and right here in Manoa Valley. That's where my mother was born in Boston while he was in college, and then was raised here in Manoa. My father as well, Bart Peterson, was here in Manoa Valley, and also my stepfather. He was right here. His father, William Wachter, helped found the East-West Center here at Hawaii. He was one of the main people who was going to before the legislature and saying, we need this. We need to celebrate the culture around the Pacific that's represented here in Hawaii, and it's not represented at the university in the right way. We need to have more performing arts and more collaborations. And so our performing together, it feels on so many levels like we're honoring our kupuna and our past, being here sharing this music tonight. And Greg's now gonna do a feature. I got a tune for us. If you want to intro.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a song entitled ʻukulele Chimes. It was actually written by Freddie Tavares, and they're actually from Maui, but they lived in California for a very long time. He also worked at the Fender music instrument company, and had a lot to do with developing the Strat, the body, the shape, which is probably the most well-known of the guitars. And he also did a lot to move along the steel guitar, the Fender steel guitar with that company. And he wrote this song, ʻukulele Chimes, and it utilizes just a finger touch with your finger, which is just the chimes or the harmonics on the natural harmonics on the steel guitar. A real cool part about this song, he managed to include all the minors that you can probably find on this song. So here's ʻukulele Chimes.
every single note he played. A chime is what we call a harmonic. So he wasn't using the steel at all. He was using his fingers to play, and his pinky. You're using your pinky.
Yeah, going with the pinky.
Wow, that's like turbo pinky. I'm moving all over the place. You play about every single note that you can get on the steel guitar with these beautiful resonant sound, and that is possible because the way that it's tuned. How do the open strings sound if you play
this
the open
is a
strings?
C6 tuning, which is kind of standard these days. On the first string of the E string, the outside string, we start with a E, and then we got a C, and we got the third string would be an A, and the fourth string a G, and then an octave E, and then an octave C. So it's a C6 tuning.
So how does it sound if you play from the lowest string up? Wow. You just hear that and you're in Hawaii, right? You don't have to get on a plane. You just hear that and you're right here.
Just give me a call.
One thing that's been great, and I mentioned we first met in Greg's backyard at a barbecue, and we started playing music, and like, hey, this is good fun. We're introduced by John Berger, and he's a local entertainment writer. He's done a lot for the Hawaiian music community, and we want to send our aloha out to John. He did an updated version of a book called Hawaiian Music and Musicians. I believe that's the title of the book, and he spent 13 years researching and updating and did an incredible job on that book. So, but Greg in his backyard, there's been some great streaming performances there. There were a couple of slack key guitar festivals, steel guitar festivals, and so bringing music to Olamana and then streaming it to the world from your backyard.
All during the pandemic.
It's amazing how so many things like this broadcast is possible, and all that the university here and the Outreach College is doing. So we want to thank once again Timothy Slaughter for all his program ideas and for giving us the chance to share our music tonight. Since we're talking about steel, we're going to play a Beatles song, and this is something that Greg introduced to me the other day, his arrangement of it. And so this is a song that George Harrison wrote, and so we'll feature the steel again on a song called Something.
Yeah, not something you would normally play on steel, but I really liked that song. I thought, let's just try it on steel guitar. something like
And
that.
you might think, how does that have a connection to Hawaii? Well, George Harrison had a place out in Hana. And I remember once going on a kayak tour. My dad he loved the ocean. And his father, my grandfather here on Oahu, was an avid fisherman. And they go ulua fishing. You don't see that very often here on Oahu, but on Maui, on the backside, or like Kaupo side, you cast a line out as deep as you can into the ocean, and on Maui, that side of the island, it just drops straight down. Haleakala goes another 10,000 feet underwater. So you try to get your line out as far as you can, and then you put the swivel on. It's called slide bait, and off these rocky cliffs, they slide taco, octopus, down into the ocean, and then the ulua, the big, the small version is a papio, and the big one is ulua. And yeah, so we used to spend a lot of time going out there and fishing. But anyway, on a kayak trip, we once got to see George Harrison's home up in the rainforest there from the cliffs. You could just capture a little glimpse of that. So something has a Hawaii connection after all. Well, next we're gonna feature the erhu, and we'll do a piece that ties its heritage to Mongolia.
Yes, so this song is we call it traditional erhu music, but when erhu say traditional, use this word traditional, that means about 50 years ago. Yeah, so this song is called Horse Racing. And because, the first place I arrived in United States was in Kentucky. So I lived there for about 1 year, and I had a lot of experience with horses. I was with a host family. And so they introduced horse to me, and I was on the horse all the time. So I created the middle part of this song with the bluegrass, and then I forced Jeff to put 16 measures on something. Sure. Yeah.
But not the Beatles song. We'll play a different.
No, another one. Yeah.
And this really shows what's possible on this instrument, the erhu, in the hands of a master. So it's really fun to play this and listen. So hold on to your hats. Here we go.
Yeah. The first time I came to Hawaii, and then
Wow.
so thank you very much. Yeah, the East West Center.
Wonderful. Yeah, they've had great programs here. And I remember when I was teaching here, I'd had many guest artists who would be doing concerts with the East West Center, and they'd come to my class and do presentations. And one that I remember very well, Debashish Bhattacharya, a brilliant Hindustani slide guitarist who I became very good friends with, and we did an album together. He did an album and had some Hawaiian artists on it, and I played a few songs on the album. It was really exciting. I went all the way to India to spend time with him there and play at a music festival. But he likes to sit, he and his brother who plays tabla, Subhashish Bhattacharya, and I wanted to have a nice rug for them. I didn't want to have just any old rug, so I really had to run around campus to try to find something suitable for them. And we had the whole class sit on the floor and play some Indian raga music. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I think I play one of the kind of concert lecture recital. That's what they call.
Yeah, lecture recitals. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'd love to try to host those when I was here.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we're getting a little low on time, but we have time for a few more songs. And I thought maybe now we'll play next, coming back to the Hawaii connection. Both Greg and I live on the windward side of Oahu here, and we often drive, although I haven't been leaving home all that much, but I usually drive across the Pali Highway, and you can look up in Nu'uanu, and we've had tremendous rain recently here in the islands, and flooding. It's been really bad, actually, but it's an amazing thing is to see the waterfalls. There are waterfalls cascading down the side of Diamond Head. It takes a lot of rain for that to happen. So there's this waterfall that, if it's raining or not, it's always flowing, and it's in Nu'uanu. And this next piece is a tribute to that beautiful place, Kawailele, the waterfall, o Nu'uanu. When the winds blow really strong, and I've only seen this once in all the years that I've lived here, sometimes you see the water splashing up, but I actually saw the trickle of water like an elephant's trunk pointing up in the air. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. An upside down waterfall, they call it. Thank you once again. We're Across the Sea Trio. This is Greg Sardinha playing steel guitar, Tsun-Hui Hung playing the erhu. I'm Jeff Peterson. And remember, you can stay in touch with all of us through Get in Touch online. And we hope to share more music with you again soon. We want to once again thank the UH Outreach College for having us here to be part of this wonderful program. And check out the lineup of great concerts they have. And there's so much great things to see here and a lot of inspiration. So mahalo, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. That was absolutely fabulous. Let's everybody out there please give Across the Sea a big virtual round of applause.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of sad if we do it in here. So really, you guys out there really ought to be doing it strong. I want to say a big mahalo for all the audiences that have joined us. So we've got people from California, New Zealand, the Philippines, Cambodia, Guam, all over, as well as throughout the Hawaiian Islands here. And it's been fabulous having you. And I must say, Tsun-Hui definitely won the horse contest. It was no match. We do have some other few comments and questions from the audience, but I wanted to bring my co-host Rick Tremelius back into the scene here, as I'm going to let him, being the musical expert, start us off.
Thanks so much to the trio for a wonderful evening. And I just wanted to ask a question of them as to how do they see this second period of international music for Hawaii taking place. The first international period was back in the end of the 19th century, in the early 20th century, when Tsun-Hui and a number of other performers toured Asia and Europe. And now we have, again, the opportunity for an international audience for Hawaiian music. Could you say how you yourselves as a trio or individual artists are part of that international aspect of Hawaiian music today? Thanks.
One thing that I would say is back then, I had a relative who, Kalani Peterson, traveled to the 1893 World Fair. And this is where Thomas Edison introduced electricity. And it was this amazing, flipping the switch and the lights came on. But they had to travel all the way there. And imagine at that time, you know, getting on a boat across the sea, working your way from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast, or Tsun-Hui and his amazing travels going to India. Now there's a tradition of over 100,000 steel guitar players in India due to this, what Tsun-Hui started. And Debashish Bhattacharya is one of many of those, and one of the great artists. But now all we have to do is sit down at our computer and open up Zoom and we can collaborate with anyone, anywhere. So I think in so many ways the world has really come together, and due to that, there are all these great opportunities to share music. In Hawaii, it's been for generations, there's been the influence of the Portuguese heritage, swing music here in Hawaii. Nalani Eha, the royal Hawaiian family, was inspired by a lot of choral music and church music. But I think it's great to the other cultures that are in important parts of our identity in Hawaii to have their music represented as well. So having a Chinese instrument being featured with Hawaiian music, I think is really great. And it's something that I think will continue to grow.
Yeah, when I first came to Hawaii, one thing I noticed is there are a lot things in Hawaii was influenced by Chinese. So you can see the food, the language, all influenced a lot by by Chinese. But not the music. Right. You know, the music, Chinese music didn't really play together and really like together with Hawaiian music. So I really want to try. And so I think we made together very well, and I hope we will continue. Yeah.
I did have another question that did come from out in the audience as to whether you felt that you could pretty much take any song and use this instrumental combination to play it, or does this require a certain type of music to be put together in that fashion?
That's a great question, and I think it comes down to not only the instruments but the musicians, and we try to have open ears and open minds when we collaborate. And Greg he's a wonderful arranger. We all contributed to the album, and the concert that we just did now, we all did arrangements together. And so we're drawing from our musical background, and not even, it sort of transcends instruments. So just about, believe it or not, just about any song can be adapted, but certain songs really feel good, and that's, I think, part of the process as a group. We search for repertoire that we feel we really connect with, and we're always trying out new things, and then, oh yeah, that song is just perfect for what we're doing. So I think it's not just the instruments, but the musicians.
Well, I guess if you take a Beatles song and put it into this format, you can pretty much do anything, can't you?
Right.
Any more questions, Rick?
Well, I wanted to make an observation more than a question, because as an ethnomusicologist, one of the things that we always point out is there is really no such thing as that music is an international language, because it's not. It has many, many different languages to it. But what I think we saw this evening is that there is a kind of international grammar of music. And when you have three very good musicians who can listen to each other and intuit or feel what is going on in what I call the grammar, the logic of the music, you see this really wonderful hybridization and combination of musical styles that, in a way, are both Hawaiian, Chinese, and not Hawaiian and not Chinese. It's something new, something different, and very exciting. And so it's wonderful to see that here in Hawaii, and compliments again to Across the Sea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maha.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all, and thank you, Rick, for those insights into all this. And I want to thank once again our sponsors for this evening: the East-West Center Arts Program, the Friends of Manoa Library, the Hawaii State Foundational Culture and the Arts, Kainoa Senior Services, the National Endowment for the Arts, the University of Hawaii, and the university's music department. I also want to thank my co-producers, Eric Chang of the East-West Center and Jonathan Korth of the music department. The wonderful production crew here that transforms our Orvis Auditorium into a recording studio, all in the course of a couple of hours. We have M. Richard, Margaret Arakaki, Todd Bodden, Anandiv Banerjee, and Nicholas Shaldron. And I have a feeling and I don't want to forget special thanks to my co-host for this evening, Rick Tremelios. And I'd like to ask, maybe we can get an encore out of you guys?
Let's do it.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Once again, a big hand for Across the Sea.
Mahalo, everyone. Aloha. Thank you.
谢谢。